remember, this is the Street Talk program, your favorite show that comes on your screens every Monday from 7:15 p.m. In my show today is Dr. Masibo Lumala, a political analyst. We are trying to look at different occurrences in the political world. We've talked about the NASA collision, and now we want to talk more about the nominations, the just concluded nominations, and of course some issues that are cropping up politically. Stay tuned to the Street Talk program. Dr. Lumala, again, let's talk about the nominations.
Yes.
Do you think the nominations were free and fair?
According to who?
In your perception as a political analyst, of course.
prior to the nomination process, I remember Jubilee requesting that they allow IEBC or the higher IEBC to conduct the nominations. The drive then, I think, obviously, was to ensure equal treatment of all candidates without bias and to ensure that the experts do it. The reality is that that could not happen because IEBC was being reconstituted just the other day with new commissioners. They were running short of time in terms of their timelines. And two, to oversee an election of one group and not the other will obviously have also led to a situation, a scenario where there could be bias. Someone might have thought IEBC was interested or favoring Jubilee because they have worked with them, they have hired. Although, like the church was saying recently, I think it would have been wonderful to have IEBC do it, but it would also have meant that the nomination process should be staggered. Because it's like a general election.
Sure.
So you can't, if you're going to do nominations for different parties, then it means you must stagger them, and it would have been very difficult. Now, looking at the two main coalitions, and then I'll mention a few of the smaller parties, the nominations were largely not free, they were largely not fair, some of them were even predetermined, I would say, and that is, I think, the way of politics. I'm beginning to, when you look at Jubilee, originally they had wanted to have their nominations on one day, 21st of April. That was obviously a nightmare for them. Then they decided, no, we shall stack the nominations so that it will be covering 3 days, one day, 22, one other day, Nairobi alone, and then another day we'll have had the rest of the counties.
Sure.
And they started with their strongholds, and then they went to Nairobi alone, and then they wanted the non-strongholds to come last. Again, that did not work. They had a false start, you saw it, and they recovered quickly, and I think they realized the problem, and Tuju came out, apologized, and the president equally apologized to the nation, which is a good thing, because then when you make mistakes, it's just good to own up and say this is a mistake. But even after making those mistakes, Jubilee has witnessed the highest number of appeals to the tribunal, the National Elections Board tribunal. And so you have over 500 people complaining and lamenting that, this thing is a sham, or it wasn't free, we were rejected. Earlier on, they had wanted to use the electronic card, you remember, the membership card, which MPs, most of the sitting MPs, they bought very expensively at about a tune of 150 million, we are told. But eventually these things were not used. So again, that disenfranchises the members. And when you now come out and say you can just use an ID, then you obviously have a challenge with that. Now, we witnessed, on the other side, I think on the ODM side, we had a number of challenges. Logistical, delayed starting of voting, materials not arriving, violence preceding the nomination process. This should never have been the case. You see, if you believe in a party, you need to buy the party membership throughout the process. We do not want to wait until the last minute for parties to start putting up membership registers. In reality, nominations should be carried out purely by party members. And when that fails, then we have a problem. And the problem you have is the kind we saw in Busia, for example. the kind we saw in Kisi, the kind we have seen where people come out and whether they are members or not, they are voting, and the consequence of that is that you end up nominating someone who may not necessarily be very popular among the registered voters. So what do? You end up losing out. And for that reason, this year is going to witness the highest number of independent candidates.
And still on the issue of independent candidates, do you think there are repercussions, especially with legal issues?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the only concern for independent candidates may be in terms of governance. Because I know that Dr. Otuoma of Busia has said he will run as an independent candidate. I think the Jack Ranguma, is that?
Jack Ranguma.
Yes, and then there's one of, and even Bundotich in Kiprop, the famous Buseki. He has expressed that he's going to run as an independent candidate. I do not know whether Ndathi in Kirinyaga is going to run as an independent candidate. But should that happen and any one of them wins, the biggest challenge they face is in terms of from MCS. I am not a lawyer, but I foresee a situation where we may have easy impeachments happening. Because parties with a majority of the MCAs can easily instigate a vote of no confidence against the governor, because this governor is non-aligned. But if it were not for that, I think an independent governor is likely to perform better because he can cut across both sides with ease without anyone looking at him and saying, why is he going to an area where they didn't vote for us? You know, you can, that neutrality will be a very added advantage. But the reality is, if you don't belong to ODM or you don't belong to Jubilee, it is going to be a Herculean task to win the election.
Okay, but again, do you think the law is fair on this, on the independent candidates? Because you see, like, let's take the case of Wasingishu County, where we have Buzeki, who will be running as an independent candidate. Yet previously, he was very affiliated to Jubilee. It was until after the nominations that he felt, no, this thing was taken away from me. And the case to Kisumu and Busia, Siaya, where we have Nicholas Gumbo. Sincerely, do you think this the issue of saying that now as an independent governor, you don't need to campaign for a particular presidential candidate?
You know, a competition has rules. And the rules are that if you are defeated, for example, or for whatever reason you are not nominated, in an ideal situation, if you believed in this party, then you should stay in that party and fight from within. Another chance will come. But if you strongly feel that this party does not hold the kind of freedom and views that you espouse, and you feel like it's a time I moved out of this, then you should also be prepared to know that the party will decampaign you. So they cannot, you can't eat your cake and still have it. Once you have decamped, once you are running as an independent, I do not even envisage a situation where the deputy president or even the president can come to Wasingishu and campaign for Udodich. It can't work. And we also, it will be an electoral malpractice for him to go out of his way and campaign on a platform that, yes, I'm independent, but I'm supporting the president. If you support the president, support him as a person and not because of the party he's standing. We have to delink of course he has every freedom to associate with anybody. At that point, if for example he decides that, look, I'm going to support Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta for presidency, do it as a person. As an individual. As an individual. You are not going to go through the party structures and say, you know, my people, let's vote for Jubilee. It can't work because you are not in Jubilee. The same question goes for those who are in ODM. If Otuoma today was to go to Busia and campaign for Raila vigorously, in my opinion, it will not work. Because you see, Ojamong is supposed to be campaigning for Raila, and Raila is as a NASA candidate, should be campaigning for Ojamong. The difficult question will come in the House for independent MPs. Once you've gone to the House, and I'm foreseeing a number of them winning, then that, you see, last time we had only Serut, and we had the guy from Cherangani, Wesley Korit. and they were not noticeable enough as independent MPs. And we didn't even see them as independent because they quickly aligned themselves with the ruling party or the ruling coalition. What will happen if we have so many people come winning as independents, including governorship, then I can foresee an independent party of Kenya being born. And I've been making fun because IEBC's name is called Independent Electoral and Boundaries. If we have independents winning, maybe they could be, IEBC should be asked, are they favoring independents because they are also independent?
Okay.
But that's on a light touch. So I'm foreseeing, I have that scenario where we are going to face a problem, but also it just shows that parties were not fair, that the popular candidates did not necessarily win, and that because of stealing, during the nomination process, we have people who could have actually won, and their ground was such that they deserved to win, but unfortunately they didn't win.
Okay. Now let's talk about the kind of hostilities that have been witnessed, especially after the nominations.
Yeah.
We've seen in most parts of Nyanza, where people are saying that actually there's this voter who said clearly that kama kuna mtu wetu, then Jubilee, Uhuru, kura ni kwa Uhuru, kura ni kwa Uhuru. And of course we've seen such even in Jubilee strongholds. So what does such hostility speak, especially at this time that these candidates need these voters?
One, Kenyans have come of age. I think our democracy has grown. It has grown so much to the point where you cannot come out of your way and impose candidates on the voters. If the voters have rejected you, they actually mean that. And parties had better start accepting the reality that the mwananchi has the last say. Because even if you nominated somebody else and come the election, they reject that person through an independent arbiter like IEBC, then you have very little to do. You can't force it. Now, for the Nyanza one, I know the case in point is Migori, where even they went to the offices and pulled down Raila's banner. And then they were there stepping on it and saying, we want now Jubilee and all that. That is very normal for losers. Let me tell you, it doesn't feel nice to lose. If you have invested very, very heavily. I can tell you that for a fact that at the end of the day, people like Chila Yako were very confident. And especially because the incumbent had perpetrated violence. Violence against the party office when the Mombasa governor went visiting. Violence against people who are being trained during for the exercise of nomination, and people went there and they beat them up and all that. And yet, the better way to confirm that the party felt he was violent is they fined him 2 million. Well, how they could not find him to have violated rules so that he still remains a mystery to me. And so we leave it to the voters in Migori to make a decision when it comes to August 8th. As for Wasingishu, I remember very well, of course, the sitting governor was very vibrant in the streets and made it very clear that nobody is going to deny him his right to be elected, and that we are not going to have. All we need is, I think, to accept that in the coming elections, there will be a lot of, the stakes are very high. On both sides. Both sides, the stakes are high, and we must do everything. Parties must do everything within their means to ensure there is no violence during the campaigns. When that happens, we then have a situation where, like now, we are. If you go to church, I don't know whether you go.
I do. Of course.
Sometimes you could be too busy to go to church. If you went, you would have told me what the readings were yesterday. Now,
Matthew chapter 6.
The reality is, even when you go to church, prayers everywhere. What are they saying?
Peace.
Peace. We are praying for peace. In the background, everybody's expecting violence.
Really?
That's why you are praying for peace. Otherwise, you'll take it for granted. Why will people be bothered praying for peace every other Sunday? and saying, Lord, we pray that these elections be peaceful, when in reality, if peace was a norm, it would be taken for granted. But you see, we're so worried about 2007. We don't even think that 2013 was peaceful.
Peaceful, yeah.
We never make reference to 2013. Now,
So it's a perception.
It's a something in our mind that makes us believe. And then sadly, these elections have also proved that people who are violent, people who are abusive, people who are crooks, thieves, are the ones who get nominated in this country.
Is it because of financial might?
Financial might, yes.
Loyalty
But I
to
think
party.
also, like you say, is who are the people who vote? It's not the middle class. It's not the upper class. It's not the who is who. The people who vote are the poor in the in our communities. The young people who are jobless. And these are the people who can easily be hired, who can easily be turned into goons and be used for violence. If we had a situation where we had job opportunities, where we had, we would not be having these problems. Yeah.
Let's talk about the IBC decision to appeal the court's ruling that the presidential results announced by the returning officers will be final. Of course, the court ruled so, but the IBC, through its chair, Ezra Chiloba, says that they want to appeal this decision so that the presidential results can only be announced at the national level.
IBC is within its right to appeal any court ruling. It's a legal process, is provided for. They can appeal it, and where should the appeal process not go their way, they have a right to even go up to the Supreme Court.
You mean?
Yeah, they have a right. Only that is going to consume a bit of their time, and they have a very limited time on their hands. But on the other hand, I really did not see the need for it, because you see, even the results being announced at the national level must have come from the ground.
Sure.
And must have be collected at the constituency level. What IEBC should be doing, and to reassure Kenyans, is to tell them that actually the results at the polling station are final. And if these results are final and are carried at the constituency and they are collected and they are announced as such, Uhuru Kenyatta has 2,000, Raila has 2,000, so and so has 2,000, then we expect that the very same results announced at the constituency will be the same ones at the tallying center. So why it that their role as provided for in the constitution was merely to declare, because the constitution says to declare. If their role was to declare results as announced in the constituency, there should be no need for any alarm. But from what Ezra Chiloba was saying the other day on an interview on one of the national TV stations, is that he seems to say the national tallying center can actually alter the results that were announced at the constituency. And that is what is raising fears, and that's what I think the opposition was saying, why should that be the case? But if it is also for verification, because also you could tally at the constituency level and find someone as 5,007. But in the process of sending the message to Nairobi, you end up sending 5,700. Because you have worked the whole night and you are very tired.
Sure.
So a bit of verification will still be, as long as it's a transparent thing, that the verification, this side says, in this station we had 500, and you actually come and say, yes, 500. That shouldn't be a problem, really. And I do not see why the hackling should be going on for too long.
And NASA says that if this happens, if the IBC succeeds in appealing this provision, then they're going to boycott elections.
They will not forget it. Boycott an election. If they succeed, NASA has a right to go to the Supreme Court.
Don't you think that will consume a lot of water?
Let it consume time, but if that is the price we have to pay for a peaceful election, so be it. Because you see, the courts are there to adjudicate and to help us. And we need to believe in these court processes. Because also, when 2013, what saved this country is the Supreme Court. That Raila said, fine, I let the process go on.
I don't agree with that.
I do not agree, but let's leave it to the court. And when the courts ruled, he came out and said, fine, we have lost. We won, but according to the courts, we lost. So we respect that. So I think the idea of the rule of law must be really emphasized as we go through this political process.
Okay.
Even these losers in the nomination process, if they feel aggrieved, they have a right to go to court. They can stop a party from presenting the nominees to the IEBC until their grievances are heard. So it shouldn't feel like the tribunal is final and whatever they have said is the end of the world.
Okay, and Dr. as we finalize the program, kindly, there's this thing that just came up recently, where we had the Kalonzo Musyoka Foundation being frozen with the accusations that the foundation has been squandering donor funds. So, and in a press briefing, Kalonzo came out and said that, you know what, this is just a political witch hunt. So,
yes and no. Yes, you actually saw what happened to Joho.
sure.
When Joho appeared rude to the president, and his popularity was rising, the president was very categorical and said, "Nitakunyorosha." And true to his word, his accounts were frozen. His certificates were made public, which is supposed to be a private matter. I don't know what is called in English in Form 4. Why is it of any business? You are a journalist, you are doing your job now. Whether you got an E, for me, I think it's unfair for you to go exposing your results public.
Sure.
So against that, I would actually say that the issue of Kalonzo Musyoka, the timing and the coming out of it is obviously political. It sounds more of the American style of WikiLeaks, where you start leaking information about Hillary Clinton and start leaking on Trump because you feel like these are the right time to influence the voters.
Sure.
But in all fairness, if this was the case, then it should have taken a normal process long ago. You don't wait until 146 million, for example, have been squandered. Then, as Fazul, you now come out the last minute. And then the other thing that we must say is that who is cleaning this country? If we were to really go scrutinizing each one of us, all our politicians have skeletons in their closets. And none of them is actually perfect. So for Kalonzo Musyoka, it should be seen that if he can be able to respond to the issues raised, they should be laid to rest rather than making it a political issue. Once you start saying, you know, this money was meant to educate children in Ukambani, obviously you are making a political score. And we really will want to run on issues rather than on personalities. If the elections are going to be nice, we need people to focus on issues. We need to focus on what will drive this country forward. Tell me about the 24-hour economy and why it is not working in this country. Tell me about health and roads. But once you start looking at who has a child with who, then you are going to have problems. I wouldn't go there because children are innocent and we don't need to involve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Masibo Lumala, a political analyst. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, I've been your host, Regina Olado. Time is really running, not on our side. Until next Monday, God bless you. See you.
Thank you so much.